All right, welcome to The Way It Should Be. I'm JD.
I'm Dean.
So we have, I'm going to say your last name wrong. So we
Wouldn't
go
be
ahead.
the first person.
Wouldn't be the first. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just let you introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I'm Nathan Polsky.
Polsky.
Not to be confused with Polsky. That's usually how it gets pronounced.
I think I would have went with Polsky. I think I would have.
You would have gotten it right.
Gotten it right.
So libertarian, currently running for state chair of Texas for the Libertarian Party. Been in the party for a couple years now. I'm the vice chair for the Collin County Libertarian Party. Also the Senate District Rep for District 8.
Awesome.
Cool deal. How long have you been in the Libertarian Party? And yeah, just the party. How long have you been in the party?
Yeah. So I'd say prior to 2016, I was not active. I did not pay any attention to politics at all. Probably I wouldn't really call myself a sheep, just wasn't on the radar in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I looked and saw who was running for office in 2016 and said both these people are buffoons. And so what are my other options? So that's when I saw Gary Johnson. Said, okay, time to get involved. Went and voted for Gary. And then in, I think it was 2019 or 2018, I went online to the lp.org, filled out my little application to become a member of the party, and been a member since then. And just each year I get more and more involved.
More and more involved.
Did you consider yourself a libertarian before 2016, or how did you come to that?
In principles.
Okay.
I would say definitely before in principles, I was more of a libertarian at that point. Never voted for a Republican, never voted for a Democrat. Politics was not really something that we got to talk about at home.
Okay.
With my father's a Republican, my mother's a Democrat.
Oh,
and, wow. Those conversations were not allowed at all. So it was not really focused on that, growing up. The first time I actually heard the word libertarian, early 2020s, perhaps 2010s. A friend of mine was Catholic and said he was libertarian, and someone said that's an oxymoron. So I was like, oh, okay, what's this? And so I slowly learned more and more about it after that.
Okay. Cool.
Go ahead.
Who was your biggest influences whenever you first started learning?
When I first started learning, a lot of the influence I had was the Mises Institute.
Okay, great.
So not necessarily the caucus, but just the institute itself, learning about free market economics, Austrian economics, saying, okay, yeah, this really kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Get the government out of our lives, and everyone will have more money in their pocket and be able to choose where it gets spent.
Yeah. Awesome.
Is it? You said no talking about it at home. Is it talked about now?
No.
Really?
Well,
Still?
in my home, yes.
In your home,
in my home, yes. In my parents' house, no. No.
Even still, huh?
Even still, my father and I, we'll talk about politics when my mother's not around. But if she comes home, or if she enters the room, silence.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of crazy to me, because I grew up here. I would say both my parents were Republican, but extended family was Democrats and Republican. Not even extended, but uncles, aunts, grandfather, And so actually it was talked about a lot, and like lots of good arguments and I think that was part of the reason. I'm probably like you. That was part of the reason where I kind of ended up leading towards a libertarian, because I didn't have to go, well, my family goes this way, right? My family's all Republican, so I have to be Republican. That never crossed my mind, because there was people on both sides, but the conversations were had and heated.
Yeah. My extended family, or my parents' extended family, none of them were local.
Okay.
So we've got few down in Temple right now. We've got some in California. We've got them out on the East Coast. So they're spread out all over the country. Get together maybe once a year, once every couple of years. But even then, politics is never something that's talked about.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my family was. We didn't talk politics, but
But they didn't keep up with politics either, right?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, they kept up with it. Yeah. They knew who was running, what their platforms were. But you just could. We're not allowed to discuss it.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because it's probably a different world. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Dean grew up as a
Jehovah's-
J-Dub.
I was Jehovah's Witness growing up, so
My condolences.
thanks, man. But that probably leads to that was probably a big influence on being anti-state because the witnesses are not pro-government at all. So it probably prejudiced me against the government anyway. Good for them, I guess. I got something out of it.
They did some good.
Yeah.
So running for the state chair, what does for those? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that I know that have listened to our podcast that probably are libertarian. I don't say maybe libertarian without calling themselves that. However you say,
Else.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and maybe just unfamiliar with politics. So if you don't mind, explain what a state chair does.
The state chair does. First and foremost, state chair is going to give direction to the party. They have a vision. They're not going to be the final arbiter on everything, but they're going to kind of guide the party in a specific direction. They're also going to be the face of the party with the media, with other state leaders. They're the ones who are going to act as that representative. The other thing that they're going to be, they run the party internally. We do have an executive director that does a lot of the heavy lifting, who then reports to the state chair. And then during our meetings, the state chair is going to be the one in charge of the meetings. So they run the meetings, they start it, they gavel it in, they close it out at the end of the day.
Cool. So they're just the head.
They're basically the head.
The head, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And do you know how many other people are running?
At the moment, nobody else has announced.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the previous guy stepping down or something?
So currently,
It's a woman right now.
It is a woman, Whitney Biliou. My understanding is that she has filed her TEC report, which is required in the state of Texas. Anybody who's running for a state chair position must file a TEC report with the Secretary of State. So I filed mine a month and a half ago, and then my understanding is she filed hers after our last quarterly meeting, which was in August.
Okay.
Am I wrong? There's not a lot of people that kind of follow the Mises Caucus or the Mises Institute in the Texas. The people that run the party right now. Am I wrong on thinking that? Or
the
is
people that are so there's a lot of people that follow Mises in Texas.
for sure? But as far as
but
they
as-
hold office, is I guess.
As far as who are in Libertarian Party positions within the party itself, no, there's not a lot. One thing that we've seen is, each state, the Mises Caucus, does its own thing. Some of them went full takeover, scorched earth.
Yeah.
And we saw the outcomes of that across the country. The Mises Caucus here in Texas has always been first and foremost, working with the people, working with everybody. We're not looking to take over and kick people out that we don't like. That's never been the focus. But the problem that we run into is people who are currently in these positions look and see what's happening in other states and automatically assume that, that's the Mises Caucus goal in every state is to get in and scorched earth it and kick everybody out, which ends up these existing people get really guarded and creating the whole problem that they were trying to prevent from happening in the first place.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. So I know Dean, and
I do have one question. I want to know. Okay, so
hopefully you have more than one question.
hopefully. So unlike JD here, he's real into the Libertarian Party. I'm not a Libertarian Party guy. I'm a Libertarian. I vote Libertarian. I haven't been a Libertarian Party guy in a very long time. One of the things long time ago during the Ron Paul days, I started the Hood County Libertarian Party. I got zero help from the state party in setting it up. So my question is, going forward, is that something that the state party is going to try and do better, helping with the local stuff?
So I can't tell you what the current direction is for the party because
I'm asking what your direction would be.
Right. So my direction, and if you go out to my website, so nathanforliberty.com, one of my goals is to focus on local counties, local candidates.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, there's a lot of small counties that may have at most 6 members who ever show up, who ever pay attention to anything. They're not in tech. They don't know how to build a website. They don't know social media. They don't know the first thing about running candidates. They just say, I'm a libertarian. I hate the government. I hate the Republicans. I hate the Democrats. What can I do?
Yeah.
And putting some sort of infrastructure in place to help these counties until they have these skill sets internally to take over for themselves and just go at it.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I set it up because I thought, okay, so I put in for this thing, and I figured somebody from the state party would have reached out and said, okay, this is how you organize the party. This is how you hold meetings. This is how you recruit. This is how you fundraise. There was crickets. It was like, hey, good job. You're the guy. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do anything. Where are you at?
Congratulations.
You're supposed to help me build this. That's why you're in charge. But
yeah, and even once I win, I don't want to go in and say, here's how you do everything, or here's how you have to do everything. It's give you the tools because, I've been looking at several different counties right now. I've been helping them out, get some of their websites up and running, some support that they're not getting elsewhere. And this is me just as an individual, as a Mises Caucus person, as someone who really cares about liberty. Each county is run completely different.
yeah,
Some counties will do a business meeting once a year. Some counties, like Collin County, we do one every month. So each county, it depends on the county, what their focus is, how much effort they want to put into it. But having those tools and the knowledge to know what to do, that's key.
yeah, for sure. Because you can't. From my opinion is the Libertarian Party has to start at the local level.
Absolutely.
We've got to build it from the ground up because you can run. What me and JD have talked about this ad nauseum. You can run presidential candidates all you want, but it doesn't matter if you don't have any. If the people at the local level don't know what you are and what you stand for, they're not going to vote for the guy running for the big show either.
Well, and the best thing is here in Texas, at least, local races, they're all nonpartisan.
Yeah.
School board, city council, it's all nonpartisan races. So if you want to run multiple libertarian candidates for an office, you can.
Yeah.
If the Libertarian Party wants to reach out to candidates who are not libertarians that are currently running for office to say, hey, what are your values?
Yeah.
Are you liberty minded? What's your opinion on school choice? What's your opinion on taxes? And you may not be running a candidate locally, but you may find somebody who can be a champion for liberty.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I always thought would be a good strategy. And I don't think I ever told you this, but is to water down the ballot. So you get several guys that are libertarians.
It's a shotgun method.
Yeah. Put them all out there. And because most people vote and they don't really know who the candidates are. They see Republican, they see whatever, right? So if you can throw a bunch of libertarians on the ballot, you can kind of water it down and maybe take a lot of votes away from the establishment guys.
You can try that. It's definitely an approach. I ran for city council in Allen 3 years in a row. The first year I ran, I leaned really heavy into anarcho-capitalism for my platform.
I did that when I ran for city council.
And
didn't work.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. So I ran on a heavy anarcho-capitalist platform. Eliminate all taxes, eliminate not property rights, all the zoning regulations, eliminate all this kind of stuff, leave it up to the private individuals. Well, I was running against 4 other candidates. One had the endorsement from the local DNC Democratic Party, and the other one had the local endorsement from the GOP.
Yeah.
So it was a lose-lose for me regardless of what I did. So I just, like I said, I leaned really heavy into it, and I ended up with 3% of the vote, which was about as much as what everybody else who was not one of those two folks got as well. So it's like, okay, the rest of these people are not ready for these types of conversations.
Yeah. I got 8% of the vote, which I thought was pretty good. But what screwed me is the guy. I had the backing of he was the chairman of the Lake Granbury Homeowners Association, which is huge down there, right? And he's like, I'm going to back, because he was trying to get a license to open a steakhouse, and he was originally going to run against one of the councilmen. He's like, oh, they're not going to give me my license, So he's like, I'll back you. And then, I'll get all these people to vote for you. We'll get you in there. And I was like, hell yeah. So we started doing that. And then his license came through, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to get in the race myself. I was like, you dick.
Ouch.
Yeah. Whatever. So
that knife was really deep in your back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you calling me up. It's like, yeah, so I got my license. So now I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. I was like, all right. That's politics. I get it now.
Yeah. So do you have any ideas? That's one thing with the JCLP down here, the Johnson County Libertarian Party. One of the things, do you have any ideas, any things that could help, anything that could help potential parties in these smaller areas to get some recognition, get out there?
For starters, I don't know what you guys are actually doing out here at the moment, but getting out there is always a good thing. At least in Collin County, we try to get out to as many events as possible. We just did a booth at a gun show, which we're like, okay, we're a bunch of libertarians. We love guns. Well, most of us do.
Primed up.
And you know who wasn't there? Republicans or Democrats.
Really?
Neither one.
I would have thought the Republicans would have been there and the Democrats would have been protesting outside.
Yeah.
You'd have thunk. Now, like there was a balloon show going on that same weekend in Collin County. It's a Plano Balloon Festival, and we did that last year. And the Republicans and Democrats had a booth out there, so we figured maybe they were out there this year again. But one, it was a heat advisory both days. Mm-hmm. Two, the gun show is indoors and air conditioning, and it was about the third the price. So we're like, it just makes sense. So we had full reign of any politics out there, and we met several hundred people that came and talked with us. They got our information. We had a number of people sign up for our newsletters. So getting involved like at that level, going to where the people are at. I know there's a marijuana festival going on. I think this week. No, not this weekend. Yeah, this weekend. I think there's a marijuana festival going on over maybe in Waco, actually.
Okay.
So, going to where those people that are going to have those values are and making yourself known. If you're not doing that, no one's going to know you exist.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's an important thing, is getting out there and just interacting with other people,
especially if you're in a college town.
Yeah,
hit those colleges up.
Yeah,
yeah.
You got to re-educate them youngins.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a whole.
They're getting a lot of crazy ideas from their professors.
So I guess on excuse me. Where do you stand, do you think, on the national stuff with these guys running now? Is there one you've already committed to throw your support behind?
I haven't committed to throwing my support behind any of them right now. My entire focus at the moment is Texas.
Yeah.
We'll know who the national candidate is in D.C. next year. So I'm sure we'll have people drop out between now and then. We'll have more people submit their names between now and then. So to throw support behind a single candidate at this point in the game, like I said, just my focus isn't there.
Right. And on yours. Yeah. There's so many out there right now as well.
Well, and I just made a tweet about this earlier, is unlike the Republicans and Democrats, they've already decided who their candidates are, and their primaries are next year.
Yeah.
And if you're not one of those two candidates, good luck making it through the primaries, or maybe causing a runoff if you can.
Yeah.
Libertarians, we won't even know until convention.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, and I know in the years past there's been ones that like right off the bat, just like I said, yeah, I can't get behind that person.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the ones I've heard from so far, there's not one of them that I thought was just that they had ideas that I couldn't get behind. There are ones that I think, oh, you're not any good, but
Right.
there's not one so far that I could just.
Yeah, it's like when you sent me that link for the libertarian debate. I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of guys arguing about the same thing, but how to like leave people alone. So not really much of a debate that's what's interesting about the Libertarian Party is there's really not a lot of wildly divergent ideas of how to get things done.
Well, then you have to look at what the actual goal is for a presidential candidate, at least with the Libertarian Party. So none of the Libertarian candidates are going to win.
Nope.
None of them are going to be president.
Nope.
So what's the goal? Is the goal just to deliver a message? All right, everybody has the same message. Who has the best delivery for that message?
Yep.
Is the goal to get 5% so that we can get on the national stage more? Okay, who has the best chance of doing that? So depending on what your goal is going to determine really when you're looking at these different candidates who the best option is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go into the specifics of the whoever it is, but
Yeah, there definitely is one guy that sticks out right now as being able to, in my opinion, is being able to articulate it, maybe speak to the common man.
it's too bad it wasn't Dave Smith, but I get it.
A lot of us are sad about that, and
Yeah.
other people are out there rejoicing about it. So
But talk about somebody that could actually reach some people and is good at communicating well. That's the guy you want right there.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
So the local, kind of more focusing on the local stuff is where you're at. And with that with that being said, what do you think? Is there an office that you think, man, we should really kind of hone in on this? I've often thought it just might and I don't know, county commissioners, right? When you get out here, I've talked to a handful of people. They say you can run about twice if you're a somewhat decent name in your area. The county commissioner seems to be one that's easily picked up. Maybe you don't get it the first time, but it's that name recognition. The second time you show up, no, I've seen that name on the ballot last time or whatever, you know. But is there one in particular for positions that you think the Libertarian Party should go after?
I mean, there's a lot of counties in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the position within the county.
Within the county?
I always thought it was cool to have a Libertarian sheriff somewhere. But
Yeah, I mean, so what I would probably say is if we're running candidates with the hope to win something, school boards and city councils.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the best chance to win because, again, it's a nonpartisan race, so people can't walk into the ballot booth and see, oh, that person has an R next to their name, that person has a D next to their name, I'm going to vote for one of those two. L, what's that?
Yeah.
They walk in and say, well, here's 5 names, or here's 3 names or 2 names. I don't know either one of them, so 50-50 chance. So there's already a better opportunity there. Now for and this going to require some analytics of the different county makeups to see, okay, what are more conservative, what are more liberal counties to see if we want to run somebody in one of those areas. But go after someone who may already be in the race. Go after somebody who may already have that name recognition, who may ever already be in office, and say, hey, your party kind of sucks right now. Are you still closely aligned with them? Maybe we should have a chat. And maybe instead of trying to run somebody against them, maybe pull somebody out into a Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about. I don't know. I never thought about those positions not having the R and the D next to their name or whatever. That is a great.
Yeah,
that's
they're
a
nonpartisan.
great way to go about it because how many people go in and vote a straight ticket?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. So when I was running, Dean, you probably had the same experience. I was out at the polling locations during early voting and on election day, and the number one question that everybody asked when they walked up is, "Are you Republican? Are you Democrat?"
Yeah.
That was it. That's
Most people, that's all they care
That's
about.
all they cared about. They didn't know what your name was. They had zero idea what your platform was. They never watched a video. They never looked at your website. All they care about, are you Republican or Democrat?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, for me, I'm neither. So it's either a plus or a minus, depending on if you're only running against one person and they happen to be a Republican or Democrat. But that gives you an opportunity to actually reach the person and say, well, here's my platform. Here's what my stance is. And they can then decide to vote on someone based on the stance as opposed to their party affiliation.
Yeah.
How many times while doing that did you have to explain what a libertarian is?
A lot.
So many times. So many times. I went
Libertarian,
on a door,
what's that?
I went on a door knocking campaign, and every door I knocked on, what's a libertarian?
You were good at the door knock because you were already Jehovah's
Yeah, I
Witness.
was really
like,
good
you
at
got
it.
that down.
Yeah.
I ran across a Green Party person.
No shit.
Wow.
I did not know they existed still, but
They're still out there.
Especially here, especially in Texas. I don't know.
Imagine
that
you find some of them in Austin.
right. Okay. Yeah. Austin, Dallas. I guess so. Yeah. I
Stupid places like that.
well, Dallas, the mayor just
I saw that.
just switched to Republican.
Switched Republican.
Yeah. What I saw that, but I
Good
didn't
luck
get
on
a
the re-election.
I saw that the Democrat Party had said he, bamboozled the party or the voters by because basically they're saying there was no way if he would have ran as a Republican that he'd have got elected.
Pulled a switcheroo.
Yeah, and Dizzy said why he did that.
Because he's not happy with their crime policies and what they're doing. So
What crime policy?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, you see all these cities run by Democrats, you see crime skyrocketing for one reason or the other.
So I got going back to the explaining what people explaining what a libertarian is. We've joked before, whatever. The name libertarian seems to hurt when you're talking to people, at least here, right? The name, because I know half the time it's the liberal part that freaks. I mean, we're in rural Texas out here right now. It freaks them out right off the bat. And we were like, man, if it was the Liberty Party, or I mean, I know this is just kind of spitballing. Not obviously they're going to change the name, but man, that seems to kill me when I talk to people.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a shift right now. For past decade or so, we had a more left-leaning libertarian party, at least on the face, and that's the party people outside the party saw because they're the ones on media, they're the ones on the news, or the ones at rallies. It was a lot of left libertarians, but now we've got a lot of people are right libertarians. And we're no longer happy with that type of presentation or outward presentation. So we're trying to make a change. And, this is, some of the issues that we're seeing here in Texas that we're seeing in other states is you have the libertarians that have been in the party that were controlling the show for the past, decade or so. They're like, well, we don't like this change. It's like, okay, well, how well did y'all do? Let somebody else give it a shot now.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, y'all can take back over.
I wouldn't mind seeing a name change really because libertarian does throw people off. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, libertarian's a big umbrella term too.
Yeah.
So
something like the Liberty Party would be easier to sell to people. We're about liberty, man.
Well, and we're also saying that versus, I mean, both of us live in rural Texas. It may not be that across the country, but it is. It's just something I have to always explain, and immediately gets the whole "I'm not no fucking liberal," I'm not,
right. Well, and it's funny because it depends on who you talk to outside the party. If you talk to a liberal and you say I'm a libertarian, so their response is, okay, so you're just a Republican that likes to smoke weed.
Yeah.
And if you talk to a conservative outside the party, they say, oh, you just, you're a left-leaning liberal.
A Democrat that likes to smoke weed.
Exactly. And so it's really hard because both these sides have, one, what their own parties are telling them, what the media is telling them, and what they've seen of the party.
Yeah. So what's your number one priority if you get this job?
Number one priority is going to be that focus on local candidates, local city or counties, making sure they have the tools, the knowledge that they need, and offering some of that infrastructure for them if they don't have it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, I'm curious to know. Would you what's your take on the whole border stuff going on right now?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Would you support a candidate that was, I hate to say closed borders?
Yeah. So the trying to define policy on the border with two words, open borders or closed borders or no borders, does it injustice. It's a very complicated matter, and there's a bunch of dominoes that I would have to get knocked over for I would call the utopian style border. So there's, what do I want to happen in the border now? What do I want to happen in the border when all these other policies are knocked down in 5-10 years or whatever? As far as supporting a candidate, I mean, the Libertarian Party of Texas platform does have a lift platform plank in there, which just says we support the rights of migrants to, I forget the exact wording of it, basically to come here and work. Now, depending on if you're a conservative libertarian or a liberal libertarian, your interpretation of that is completely different. Mm-hmm. A liberal libertarian may just say, come on over. Anybody, whomever, come on over. But they don't think about, well, what's going to happen when they come here? Who's going to take care of them? Is the government going to take care of them? Yeah, well, let the government take care of them because I can't take care of them. Whereas you have a conservative or a conservative libertarian may say, sure, if you've got a private sponsor to come here, come right over. Let that sponsor handle your housing, your pay, all that kind of stuff. Take the burden off the government. Respect those property rights. So it's really going to depend on the candidate. I could support either one, but we'll see.
I'm glad you brought up that with the property rights because I'm lean right on, I lean on the conservative side of the party myself. And know a handful of guys that are working the oil field down on the border right now. And I talk to those guys and they say it is crazy the amount of, they're seeing this firsthand. They don't know the property owners when they're down there on these leases. They're not, I'm sure there's some where they talk to them occasionally from time to time, but a lot of these are big, massive, 65,000 or 6,500 acre ranch or whatever, and the amount of property damage that goes on, that goes on when they cross, what goes on from dead bodies being found out there to just waste as they move along the way. So that's kind of back and forth to me on there is property damage that comes because of this, because of the way that everything's being handled right now.
Right.
So just kind of my thoughts. I think I definitely lean more towards probably even maybe further right on that issue than a lot of other libertarians.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that as an anarcho-capitalist, the only thing that I would ever be okay with the government, like if just to hand off to them to do, is to protect property rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the only role that I feel that any government should have, is to ensure that the border is protected, that if people are coming here, make sure they're coming through where they're not damaging property. Make sure they have a destination already set where it's not just out in the wild, here you go, so that they can go and damage property, and making sure that's protected.
Yeah, there's a big difference between an open border, a closed border, and a controlled border. There's nothing wrong with having a controlled border, so you don't have 20,000 people a day trying to cross at one time.
Right.
Into your cities. You don't know who these people are. You don't know if they're sick. You don't know if they're gang members, if they're human traffickers. You don't know anything about them. So I would say that the ideal candidate would be somebody that's in favor of a controlled border. Still letting people in.
Yeah.
But we need to know how many people are coming in, where they're going, like you said, and everything else.
Right. And that's, this is going to be what can Texas actually do versus what is the federal government going to mandate?
Yeah.
So the federal government's going to try and mandate the border, but Texas needs to be able to protect its property.
Well, you saw Abbott the other day.
Well,
He was like, screw that. We're going to build the wall ourselves. If you're not going to do it, we will.
Yep.
I don't know if they ever took that floating barrier down.
Yeah, they were
The
ordered to take
razor
it down,
wire
I think.
was in the middle of the
It
river.
was like
the balls.
saw
Yeah.
blades, or what they
Yeah.
claimed were saw blades. I don't think they really were, but
We
I thought
joked it would be good. What was that show? Wipeout. wipe out to get across.
See, that would be a good policy. That's what the Libertarian Party should
If you
get
can make
behind.
it here, good. You're
Yeah,
right on in.
Run this obstacle course. If you make it, you're in. Here's your citizenship. Good job.
So Squid Games to get into the U.S.
Oh yeah,
I never watched that. Was
I
it
never
good?
saw it
I
either,
never
but
saw
it sounds great.
Yeah.
If you make it to the end of the level and you survived, congratulations.
Oh man, yeah. It's just there's so much going on down there with that border, and then being a border state. You know, being Texas, like I mean, it's I've seen it kind of go on in the last 10 years with the difference, even down like at Big Bend at the national park and what it looked like. And that's not even a high. The Mexican side of Big Bend National Park, the Mexican side of the border is 150 miles of rugged mountain desert terrain.
They're not crossing that.
Well, and they're not in the same amount of, but there is some that still goes on down there. And it's safe. We've gone down there lots, but you know, there's the opportunity is there for you know things to go south.
sure.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a weird topic for libertarian.
Yeah, the one suggestion I would have for any candidates that are running that want to talk about the border is don't identify yourself as a closed border, open border policy.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you say the phrase, it may mean one thing to you and something completely different to somebody else. So focus on the policy, what your platform is, and what you intend to do, not the label that you're going to put on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we're a long ways here, but you know, as far as local guys, or local elections, but I'm sure that's something that those places down there, Brewster County and those counties down there, deal with pretty regular.
For sure.
You know, what's their stance?
It's a big topic anywhere in the state of Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a big topic anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
Did you see that? What was the mayor of Chicago the other day was like, 12 more buses showed up with these migrants. We can't handle all these people. And I'm like, what about the 20,000 that crossed last week in our state? You think we can handle that?
Del Rio or wherever,
Yeah.
McAllen or they're not set up for it either.
No, nobody is. It's just too many people.
It's a lot. Dead air.
Dead air.
Dead
That's
air.
a good thing we can edit stuff.
Yeah, I think we can end stuff.
Do that in post.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a live podcast.
I get to do a lot of editing. It's fun.
What else are we? What other questions? I guess just tell us something about you. I mean, I know you told us that where kind of I was born and raised in, you said Collin County?
Yeah, Collin County. I was born and raised in Richardson. I went to Plano ISD. We were kind of on the border. I've been there pretty much my entire life. I moved out to, I think it was Carrollton, so it's still like within 10 miles at one point for a couple years. Other than that, though, it's been in the same geographical area. Watched the city of Allen, which I'm in right now, kind of explode. It used to be a dirt, not what isn't a dirt road. It's always been paved as far as I remember. But it used to be just nothing but fields on either side of the main street. Now it's Kroger's and Home Depots and neighborhood. So getting to see that, all of the northern part of the Dallas area is doing the same thing right now, and I'm just looking to get out of there.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of trying to sell my home, so if anybody wants to buy my house in Allen, go for it. It's on the market.
That's we're having that right here now. I mean, I graduated in this town, grew up most of my life in this town, and everyone here worked in agriculture. So everybody's parents worked in agriculture, and no one commuted to the Metroplex or anything like that. In the last 4 years, since they built that new toll road that runs from Ford to Cleburne, man, it's you can't throw a rock now with hitting a sub. We went without hitting a subdivision, so we went from a farming community to a suburb.
Oh wow!
Overnight. And
Now, to your eyes, this looks like a little podunk town.
No, I'm actually I've actually got a contract down for a piece of property out by Commerce.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So it's about 10 miles outside of the city.
Yeah.
Unincorporated parcel of farmland.
That's awesome.
And it's nothing but like 50-acre farms around it on a gravel road. So
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
give me
small.
that address.
No, it's mine.
That was, I mean, me and my wife moved back here because we thought, we both grew up out here. We're going to move back and raise our kids up out here in the country. And before you know it, there's, it's suburb and
It's not the same place.
yeah. And it's not,
What is Granbury, like 15, 20 miles from here?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
So
15
I grew
probably.
up there, which I watched it blow up. And then I hadn't come over here in a very long time until we started doing this podcast. And remember the first time I drove over to his house, I was like, what the fuck happened to Godly?
well, I mean, I graduated in 2003 with 50 people in my graduating class. So,
That's a small number.
yeah, and now I think, and this is probably going to sound small compared to Allen, but a senior class this year is above 300. And and really, my brother graduated 3 years behind me. I graduated with 50, and he graduated with 120. So I mean, it's just been steadily growing, and that's we want to get out of here because we feel like this is going too much.
It's just too big.
It would be nice to hear what you're talking about. My graduating class in 2002 was 900 something people.
Oh, wow.
And that was in Plano. Plano at the time had 3 senior high schools, so 3 schools where you had graduations. Allen has a single high school. I don't even know what that graduating class size is, nor do I want to know, but I've been on their campus, and it's about as big as a community college, if not bigger.
Yeah.
It is huge.
Yeah,
They got that massive
keep all
football
those.
stadium
You keep
there.
all
The
those
$50
football
million football stadium that broke
65 actually
Oh,
when
That
they
broke?
got done.
Yeah.
when they fixed it.
concrete didn't cure, and yeah, that was
insane.
Do you think with the amount of people moving in since we've gone that way, do you think it changes the voting demographics of?
Absolutely.
For sure it does.
Yeah,
I know in 2020, because the Democrats will keep spouting this off, Allen voted blue.
Yeah.
So in the 2020 election, majority of people in Allen voted for Biden. Now, what you see in the elected offices is predominantly Republican. They did have a Democrat that was on the city council a couple of years ago. She did not get reelected. But even then, a lot of your Republicans they know that the demographics is so tight that they're no longer Republicans. They're trying to get the Democratic vote as well because they know if they don't, there's a good chance they're not going to get elected.
Yep.
do you think that helps the Libertarian Party with that group moving? I've got two different. So some people I've talked to, they say, I was talking to a guy that works for the water company. He's out here, meeting these new people that are building houses, and he says, so many of them are coming from California and they're tired of the politics there. And then and then he was like, I don't think it's really changing, as far as what we're seeing out here in the more rural area. But I just can't help but feel that that's, Tesla moves down to Austin. Of course, Austin's already blue, but brings all those people. They're not moving here because, or Toyota or whoever, they're not moving here because they're tired of living under authoritarian.
They're just following the job.
They're just
Yeah,
following the job.
Yeah. And a lot of them hate it here too. So they're like, it's too hot. Good, go back. No one wants you here anyway. That's what we need to put into the state party platform is get a law passed that says if you're moving here from New York to California, you got to pay $10,000 per person.
So we're coyotes now?
Yes. Yeah. No, we're just charging those sons of bitches for coming here.
As far as does that help or hurt libertarians? It can go either way. I mean, you're gonna have Republicans and Democrats that are going to say, "Well, this is the most heated election that it is ever," which is the same thing they say every 4 years.
Every time.
Because it's so close. So they're not going to stray. There's a lot of, when I ran for council, there was a lot of Republicans, a lot of Democrats that I came across and spoke to in length. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a libertarian." I'm like, "Okay, when was the last time you voted for one?" "Oh, well, never."
Yeah,
Well, I got libertarian policies. I'm like, "Okay, well, what are your policies?" And we start talking like, No, that's really not a libertarian policy.
right.
You may say you want limited government, but what you want is you want to limit somebody else's views on government,
Yeah.
and you still want your views to be predominant. So, yeah, you belong with the Republican Party or you belong with the Democratic Party. Now, what we're seeing nationally, I think, is bringing more people to the Libertarian Party, because they're seeing that it is one giant uniparty. The Republicans and Democrats, especially this past weekend with what's going over in the Middle East, are waking up to saying, well, yeah, they both had the exact same policies. It's just which one's in control.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Did he ask for 100? What did he was going to ask for another? Biden's going to ask for another.
For Ukraine?
Yeah.
$100 billion.
$100 billion.
He's going to ask for $100 billion for Ukraine.
Meanwhile, we have veterans on the side of the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really wild. It's really, and they already said like with this whole thing that's going. You told me just earlier you don't know what's going on in Israel right now. So.
No, and yeah, to be fair, so I'm a big camper, and I just got back from a camping trip. So when
It's pretty wild.
Palestine attacked.
Yeah, when I
Full
okay,
scale.
Full scale attack.
briefly-
Brilliant, actually. Like strategically, they did a pretty good job.
Well, that depends if you listen, if you believe what the media is saying.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm completely out of it because when we go camping, I unplug for
Hamas has attacked Israel in big numbers. They seized several towns actually, almost right off the bat. I think the death toll is like on the Israeli side is somewhere around 800 people right now. I mean, they took over bases and everything, and it's taken 2 days for Israel to finally push them back out of the country.
Lots of kidnappings.
Lots of kidnappings. A lot of people kidnapped.
And I know we just said it every year is the tight race, and this one's going. But I remember thinking like everyone for libertarian feels like we're that much closer. Like, and right now we're as far as the national party goes, right? And not saying that they can win or anything like that, but man, if there's an opportunity,
Yeah.
to at least get it, it's right now.
right
and
now.
was
It
almost seems like
with two shit candidates.
Right now, we really need to be pushing the anti-war.
Yeah.
If we can really push hard on the anti-war, this is not our fight.
Yeah.
We don't want funding to Ukraine. We don't want funding to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Nostradamus prediction that China is going to attack Taiwan this year as well, so we can get the trifecta.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so that way people have 3 different countries that we want to fully support and back.
Yeah.
And all that does is just run us thin. But there's a lot of people that claim to be Republicans or that are Republicans that are Democrats. They're like, I don't want war. We don't need to be involved in war.
No,
okay,
we just spent 20 years at war. We're done
Here's
with
a
it.
party that also believes that we should not be at war with these or get involved with these other countries because it's none of our business.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think right now is the time. Like right now is the time because I think if you were able to take a broad poll of the American people, overwhelmingly, and it's my opinion, overwhelmingly they'd say they want no part of it.
Mm-hmm.
They want no part of it. They don't want to give money, but yet it seems like the Uniparty itself just continues to asking for 100. I mean, and just back to the Hawaii thing for a minute, not to get conspiratorial or any of that kind of stuff, but we're going to give
Here's $700.
Yeah, here's $700. Yet we're going to give Ukraine 100 on top of 100 billion or whatever it was on top of the astronomical. What have we given up to this point? It's
Who's that? Ukraine?
Billions.
Yeah.
It's like the last number I saw was like $74 billion or
I was
something.
thinking 60 or 70 billion.
It's a lot. It's a tremendous amount of money.
it just to me, I just can't see the American public. So like it does feel like, and again, here I'm the one now saying, hey, this is the time because I just don't see the American people have the appetite for it. Doesn't seem that way to me.
Yeah,
anyway.
according, I just found a Reuters article that said that the support for sending more money and weapons to Ukraine is slowly going down. This came out 4 days ago, so it said 41% of respondents agreed that the U.S. should provide more weapons to Ukraine, but that's down from 46% about a month ago. So it's slowly going down. But even still, 41% is not the majority of people in this country. No. So most people are definitely against it.
Those are probably not the people that are voting for the representatives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a. It just seems like to me like it's primed up, but you know what? I thought that because I kind of got into this around the same time you said you did. Got in with Gary Johnson, kind of looking at where I fit politically, and I thought at that point this is the best. No one likes Hillary, no one likes Trump. This is the best time, and then I thought. Last time this is even better, and now now it's like holy shit, like this is
do it again with these same two idiots.
With these
Only they're older now.
barely functioning and possibly
May not
retarded.
even make it to the primary.
I mean it's crazy.
And one that's under indictment in 3 different states or something.
Is that what it is now? I have no.
Yeah, I know he's
New York and Georgia's.
New York, Georgia. Yeah, so 2 states.
2 states.
Still.
I don't know. Hunter Biden got the little slap on the wrist for the gun. The line,
Which
on
I'm cool for. I'm like, yeah, slap on the wrist for guns. Go for it.
I would be cool for it if they wouldn't screw me or you over. For
Right,
it.
Yeah.
but it's like,
That's
all
what-
right, now he said it. Now you've set a precedent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That it's just a slap on the wrist if you're under the influence, if you got drugs and you got a gun. Cool. Now uphold that same precedence with every other American.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's so much going on. We've talked about this all the time. We'll go through there. What are the stories going on? There's just so much going on. So I like the local. Going at it locally. You've said that forever. We can't even think about a national office till we have a ground game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And one of the really nice things about local races is you can't walk into the capital without getting arrested, or unless you're on a tour. You can't really. You have to schedule a time to meet with your representatives. Local races, show up to a city council meeting, show up to a school board meeting. You can speak. Depending on some cities, some towns, you don't have to put anything in beforehand. You just show up and you can just speak during the public comments. And you can meet with your representatives right then and there.
Yeah.
You can meet with your city managers. You can meet with your city staff.
Hell, you can run into them at Walmart, berate them there.
You can run into them locally. Yeah, you can.
I've done that before.
yeah, and I guess
I've got several of their numbers in my phone.
for those listening too, like if you just think like we prior to COVID, nobody put much value on those positions, and if COVID taught us anything, it's you better care about what authoritarian figure you're putting into that position.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, because I the first time I ran was 2020, and spoke with the city secretary during that time period, and she said that was the largest number of candidates she had ever seen run for city council at one time.
Wow.
There was 3 positions that were open, and each position had at least 5 people running.
Wow.
Normally, it's 1, maybe 2.
Yeah. Democrat and a Republican.
Democrat or a Republican, maybe 2 Republicans. But COVID really changed the game. Mm-hmm. COVID hit. I don't think it was so much as COVID itself. It was the reaction to it and what the counties and cities were doing and the states were doing or not doing that really got people out of the woodwork to say, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Well, and it's crazy because it also affected the school board stuff. There's the movements that are going on across school boards.
I just took my kids out of school.
I'm gonna say right now, I think the most important races that a libertarian can run for is the school board positions. Mm-hmm. Those are probably the single most important ones right now that you
And also the ones they want to
to.
abolish the most.
Yes. Yeah. Those are probably the most important things we could focus on right now.
Yeah,
That and the
I mean-
sheriff's department.
It would be cool to have a libertarian sheriff.
Yeah. Yeah, the chief law enforcement officer of the county, you can be like, yeah, we're not going to arrest people for weed anymore. We're just not going to do it. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of things that sheriff could do.
I wonder how long it would take. I wonder how long it would take for some kind of other 3-letter agency to come in if a sheriff had made that a public statement.
Hey,
saying
guess
we're
what they
not
could do?
doing
The sheriff can arrest him.
that. Yeah. No, it's crazy how much the school board thing, and probably because I have kids in school and we've had, and I'm not gonna talk about it again, but we've had issues with the school and things that they have done, and to really see the amount of people that got active, and it's funny to me because I remember at one point in time teachers or administrators or whatever saying, well, no one comes to these school board meetings. People don't care. They don't want. And then when they start caring and get active,
Now they're packed.
and they're shutting them down and figuring out ways to, you can only talk for 2 minutes and you better talk to something that's about, you better talk on an issue that's on the agenda and really hammering down on what's being, hammering down on free speech in there really is what it boils down to.
Yeah, just this past year, McKinney ISD, their school board meetings, they regularly had 2 to 4 squad cars.
Yeah.
At the meetings
really?
of police to make sure nothing was getting out of hand.
That's
because
crazy.
they had in McKinney, and I believe, because I didn't follow too close to that, it was predominantly Democrats were on the school board and the superintendent. And there was one conservative that was on there, and they kept trying to shut him down. Parents would be going in there trying to speak out against stuff. They kept getting shut down.
Yeah. Think if you had a libertarian sheriff, and he'd be like, he'd put his deputies there and be like, don't let the city cops in. They're not allowed.
I don't know.
I don't know how that jurisdiction works
Well,
there.
County sheriff has jurisdiction in the cities and the county. So
Even in these local city and school board
Municipalities.
everywhere.
facilities.
Well, I know it would make sense in some school districts, and I don't know if it still is, but at one point in time, our high school was out of the city limits. So the highway wasn't,
Yeah.
but the high school was actually technically in the county.
Well, the school districts they're done different than city limits. So
It's just you've seen it so much with the just explosion of involvement, and now the administrators hate it. They hate what's going on. That's part of the reason, or part of the we had a biggest election for school board down here, our biggest number of votes ever, and we've grown quite a bit, but it was really not that. It was a heated debate. Between someone saying,
these
"Get
idiots
this."
around here were trying to get them to vote on a $840 million bond package.
Yeah,
This little town.
Yeah, and lying by omission as well. So they're saying, "Oh, your taxes aren't going to raise." Well, we're already taxed at the highest. So
How
you're
would
just
they,
gonna-
how would they not
hate
go up
that
with
phrase.
$800 million in new?
So what they were telling is, I think it's 6.5. That 6.5% is the max that you can be taxed from the school district or something. Don't hold me on that number. But what it was is the percentage was not going to go up, but the term of the note was going to go up. So they're saying, "What's not raising your taxes?" And we're like, "You're lying by omission."
Yeah.
I for the past couple of years, I stopped after this last campaign run. I attended every single city council meeting that I could. I attended the workshops that they had, which you had no public input at those points. But I got to see a lot of financial discussions, and they were every time they kind of brought up bond packages, they said they would go in detail. Here's how this bond package is going to work by not raising taxes. Well, what it's doing is it's not letting them lower the taxes. Because they're paying off existing bonds and they're just slapping the new bonds on top of that so it stays the same as it was before.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how they get around it. So they're not technically they're not raising your property taxes, but what they're doing is they're preventing them from going down.
It's kind of like when they say, we're not going to raise your taxes this year. Your taxes are going to stay the same rate, but we're going to adjust your valuation way high.
Yeah, on your property.
Yeah.
So, you're going to pay more in taxes, but your tax rate didn't go up. We didn't raise taxes.
Well, and what they just did in Allen is they just approved an increase in the property tax rate. But don't worry, you get they're now allowing a homestead exemption to counter that. So it's a wash if you're homesteaded.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
and if you have
why?
a house, you should be homesteaded.
Yeah, because how many people didn't or haven't or didn't pay attention? So they're
my
still
brother wasn't homesteaded until this past year,
Oh wow.
and
Didn't you do that?
Yeah, I did the same thing.
and his value went up like $300,000.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
this hurts.
I turned that paperwork in the day I bought my house.
Yep.
I bought my place in 2005, and I think, and it was never a big deal. It was out here, and then
Because the
2
rates don't
years ago,
change that much. Yeah.
2 years ago, it went through the roof, and we went, "Oh, hang on, hang on, we're yeah." So you said you took your kids out of school. What prompted that? If you don't mind.
Sure. So, one, they hate waking up early. They really
doesn't?
hate it waking up. Two, was it 2020 when they did the whole schooling remote schooling, and I was watching. I'm like, you're not doing anything 3/4 of the day that you're supposed to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
Is this what goes on during your school time? Because I know, like, when I was in public school, it was a lot different. You were constantly doing stuff.
Yeah.
Every single year, they've had a student in their classrooms that has, I wouldn't say it was aggressive, but was mean or disruption to class. Teachers didn't know how to handle them because they can't, because the current current age, you're not allowed to really do anything with these kids. You're just
I
gonna
got
have
my ass whipped all the time in school.
a belt or a paddle. Like, they don't even get to sit down to the principal anymore. But so the constant disruptions, just the learning that they were receiving just wasn't up to snuff. My oldest was about to go into middle school. She's in middle school this year, and we had just heard a lot of issues going on in the middle school area. So we said, wait, y'all want to try homeschooling? Here's how it's going to work. We can try it for a year. If you don't like it, we can send you right back to public schools. We can find an alternative means. And they both said, yep, let's do it. And so my youngest, before school was even done last semester, she's like, can we start now? Can we start now? I'm like, no, you got to wait. We'll wait till the summer's done. I'm like, one of the great things is there's no schedule. No. You don't have to adhere to some school district's schedule. You can sleep as late as you want during the day, and they've both been happier. They're not super stressed anymore. They get to take all the breaks they want. I'm like, as long as you get your work done, I don't care if it takes you 8 hours. I don't care if you do it in 30 minutes or whatever. Just get it done. Yeah. And so they're learning it's completely different for them. And like I said, I think they love it right now.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's great. I love seeing the homeschool kind of movement explode right now, like it is. We don't homeschool our kids; they go to public school,
government schools.
Government schools.
Government indoctrination camps.
Indoctrination. But to be fair,
these kids are the most communist people.
No, they're not. My kids get in heated debates quite a bit with, especially not my boys. Seem like they get in quite a bit. They have been listening to libertarian podcast because they've been riding in the car with me for so long that they were like, and it sounds bad, but they're going to be maybe not, but because I like to think that I've taught them to look at stuff, for themselves. But there's a chance that they'll be like, "Oh, my dad was libertarian, and this is what I know," So
they're not going to get indoctrinated.
Yeah.
At least they'll be indoctrinated by it's my job to indoctrinate my kids. That's to brainwash them, not somebody else's. But it's actually there's been several things where it's kind of caused a rift in the way they think at the government school. But it's great to see the homeschooling stuff kind of thrive the way it is.
Yeah, we're doing the Ron Paul curriculum.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
It's really good. I mean, it's just the facts. So there's no ideology. It's just here's history. Here's English. Here's books. They're both reading, I think, 2 books at the same time, and they're writing short essays every week. And as they get older, it's going to be teaching them entrepreneurial skills as well. So I'm like, go for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, Ron Paul's my guy, man. That's who got me going.
Yeah, I'm a bit jealous because he came in on that and I did not. I only get to.
I wish I could have said I came in on the Ron Paul movement.
Me too. Yeah, I'm right there.
Probably, in my opinion, one of the most important political figures of the 21st century, I would say.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find a libertarian that did not agree with that statement.
Yeah.
There are some libertarians that do not like Ron Paul.
Yeah, there are. They're idiots.
Agreed.
Yeah, I guess I haven't met one yet, but I haven't met just a whole lot either. Normally, it's me spitting the libertarian views to somebody else, but
that's me. I do that. Everybody's like, "Shut up." Shut up! No, man. Listen, this is how you're wrong. Okay, you're fucking wrong, and this is why. God, shut up.
Oh man. Oh, well, cool deal, man. So you have nathanforliberty.com. That's what you said, right?
Correct.
nathanforliberty.com. And then you're regular at the Collin County at y'all's meetings. So
Yep. So we do monthly meetings up in McKinney. I'm there every month. Part of my campaigning is I'm also going around Texas. So this weekend, the 14th, I'll be down in Houston for another event. But I'm also doing a meet and greet down in Houston. So if you're down there, I'll be at St. Arnold's on Saturday at 6:30.
Nice.
St. Arnold's Brewery. Come on out. Should be a good time. And then, just like I said, making the rounds.
social media,
Nate the ANCAP on Twitter.
Nate the ANCAP.
I like
Nate
that.
the ANCAP. I'm pretty active on there. That's the only social media that I use right now. I do have a Facebook page. I don't even know what it's called. I've got someone else running it for me.
That's the best way.
I deleted Facebook as soon as I could. I am done with that platform.
Yeah.
But some people are on it still.
Yeah.
Here's my question. I got one question for you. Are you a Rothbardian or a Hoppian?
I'm definitely more of a Rothbardian.
Okay. We're now best friends.
I had to explain some of the difference between those recently.
Yeah, throw them out there because this happens all the time because we have, and it drives him crazy because when people say we have people listening. What were you talking about? I have no idea who Ludwig von Mises is or Mises in his pronunciation. But anyway, if you, like a quick.
So Rothbard is going to be much more of the free market capitalist, limiting the government, getting rid of it, anarcho-capitalist. Hoppe is that, but also with prejudice.
Yeah.
He's okay with prejudice because it is the private sector. It's not the government doing it. If a private individual, if a private organization wants to be biased again and deny somebody service based on race, religion, ethnicity, whatever, he's okay with it.
Yeah, it's led to him being called a racist and all kinds of other stuff, which it might be true. I don't know. I don't really know the guy very well, but yeah, he's got this other crazy idea where, I don't know, maybe it's not crazy, replacing democracy with one-man rule, because the idea is you'd have a better chance of having a libertarian run the government than you would having a democratic one.
Well, we'll see what happens in Argentina.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Is that
That's Javier.
Javier,
Miel, however you say his name. Yeah, that guy's cool.
Cool. Man, we sure do appreciate you coming out here, and hopefully we can get you back on here again as we get closer to everything, and then maybe afterwards too as well.
Absolutely.
So nathanforliberty.com and Nate the ANCAP on Twitter. Man, anything else you want to put out there before we?
Well, so for anybody who doesn't know what the process is to vote for a state candidate, it's not the same as Republicans or Democrats. Those you go and vote in the primary, you're good to go. Or they have also their conventions too. But for the Libertarians, first, you cannot vote in a primary. If you vote in a primary, you can no longer vote for me.
Yeah.
Primaries happen first. Once the primaries are done, then Libertarians, we will have what is called the precinct convention. That's going to be on a Tuesday night. That's mandated by state law. You must attend the precinct convention with your voter card so that you can get registered as a Libertarian. That's how it works here in Texas. Following that, you then must attend the county convention that following Saturday so that you can participate in the county convention. And then if you want to go to state as a delegate, you must be nominated and elected as a delegate for your county. Every county has a different number of delegates that they get to send to the state convention. The minimum is 3, so even the smallest county with 2 or 3 members gets 3 delegates. So if you know a friend who leans maybe a little bit more libertarian, they don't mind taking a nice little vacation in April, and they don't want to vote in a primary, then get them to go out to your local precinct and county convention, make them a delegate. Then in April, we'll be having the state convention in Corpus Christi.
Nice.
So nice little destination town for any families that want to take go a little trip to the beach there. Check the weather; it should be like mid 70s.
Fantastic.
That time of year. The water's not going to be that cold, that warm, but the outside temperature will be. And then at the state convention, the delegates will get to nominate and elect the chair for the party as well as the other positions.
Cool deal.
Awesome. That's great.
Cool deal. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Like I said, thanks for coming out here and talking with us, and hopefully at some point we can have you back on and.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll come see you next time.
We'll come your way next time.
Well, depending on what that is, I may have a little farm. So,
Oh, that'd be even better. Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
all right, thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it.
Next time.